Sir, good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Let me start the session, sir.
Yeah, sure.
Yes, sir. Very bright morning to everyone gathered here. It's my pleasure to welcome all the participants for a Day 5 Session 1 AICT ATAL-sponsored FDP on Internet of Things in Smart Cities, organizing by Department of Electronics and Communication Engineering of Tamil Nadu College of Engineering and Technology. I feel privileged to extend my warm welcome to our today's resource person, Dr. Manu Vora, Chairman and President, Business Excellence, USA Fulbright Specialist, US Department of State, USA Adjunct Faculty, School of Professional Studies, Northwestern University, USA. Welcome, you, sir.
Thank you.
If your actions inspire others to dream more, learn more, do more, become more, you are a leader. I am saying about the person who is none other than our today's resource person, Dr. Manu Vora. Before going to session, let me see the short intro about our resource person. He is the chairman and president of a business school Inc., a global quality management consulting firm. He has over 46 years of leadership experience and has guided a Fortune 500 companies with the Baldrige Performance Excellence Assessment. For over 28 years as an adjunct professor, he teaches operations management courses at business schools globally. He has contributed at over 680 educational institutes worldwide. He is a sought-after speaker on business excellence and quality management topics with over 1,170 presentations globally in 36 countries across 5 continents and published over 70 scholarly articles. He has published 50 blog posts on quality management. In 2013, he gave 2 TED Talks at Varanasi and Chicago. Since 2013, he has delivered soft skills and quality management topics using a technology to over 680 colleges and universities globally and benefiting over 1 million students, faculties, and professionals. In 2016, he delivered a project management for organizational excellence, a GIAN course approved by a MHOD Government of India at his alma mater, IIT. In 2016, he was appointed as a Fulbright Specialist by the US Department of State and completed his first Fulbright Specialist project at IIT in March 2018. He has a BTech, MS, and PhD in chemical engineering from Illinois Institute of Technology, Chicago, and an MBA with marketing management from Kellogg Graduate School of Management in Chicago at 1985. As the founder, director, and president of Blind Foundation for India, he and his team has raised over $5 million to help over 2 million visually impaired adults and children in India. He received an NRI of the Year Award 2018 in philanthropy from Times Now and ICICI Bank in Mumbai, India. Dr. Vora has received 56 awards and honors from his outstanding professional service, including a Fulbright Specialist appointment from the US Department of State, and he received 35 awards and honors for his lifelong community service, including a US President's Volunteer Service Award. In 1968, he received a J.N. Tata Scholarship in India to pursue his graduate work in the US. So without wasting a time, let me hand over the session to our resource person, Dr. Manu Vora, who is going to handle the session on the topic of personal and professional growth. Please, sir.
Okay. So thank you very much, Dr. Dharmalingam ji, for a very kind introduction. Good morning to all the participants. Vannakam, namaste, and we are going to spend next 2 hours talking about personal and professional growth. So let me begin to share my presentation at this point. And I want to congratulate all of you for joining such an important FDP, Internet of Things in Smart Cities. Now, in order to be proficient in that subject, you need to think about how will you achieve success. And that's where one of the foundation will be the project management, which requires a number of great soft skills and continue to grow in the field. So that's the focus of my presentation as a part of this FDP. So we'll begin with the importance of continuing our education right after getting our first degree, whether it's BTech, MTech, or PhD, so that we can remain at the cutting edge and growing personally and professionally. I want to share with you the learners engagement model, which I've been deploying in my classes for the last 28 years, and bring in the World Economic Forum. What are the top 10 skills one need to master to be competitive in the global arena? And one of the important topic I want to keep stressing at the India scene is importance of soft skills. And we'll begin with initially what we need to do to achieve personal and professional growth by focusing on the planning. And this is where we'll discuss briefly Dr. Deming's cycle. And then how do we master the critical life skills of communication, leadership, decision making, time management, teamwork, and ultimately the project management. And by the way, when you are working on any project, including the Internet of Things in the smart cities, you need to be focusing on communication, leadership, decision making, time management, teamwork, problem solving, etc., which will allow you to do great and best project management. We'll hear from a football coach, Lou Holtz from US, extremely motivational talk towards the end. And keep in mind that those who are attending the session towards the end, write down 2 key takeaways from this session. So that will help you to focus on it when you are back at your institute or at the workplaces. So let's begin the importance of the continuing education for achieving our growth at both personal and professional level. So getting the first degree is not the end of the education. That is just the start. One need to become a lifelong student by continuing to upgrade the basic knowledge you have received at the colleges and the university throughout your life. Now, continuing education will help you acquire new skills, and it will create the pathway for reskilling and upskilling. And this can be done by in-house experts or the resources, or go through outsourcing and a third party. You can learn from them. There are a variety of methods which you can use: reading books in the field, watching videos, take the professional, attend the professional conferences, go to the classroom setting, and interaction among the peers at the university, institutes, or at the workplaces, etc. And keep in mind, in order for us to grow, need to have a balance of both hard or technical skills and the soft skills. And major focus should be whatever you have learned, what are you implementing as you go forward? Because implementation is key, bottom line, where rubber meets the road. So many benefits of continuing education to allow you to grow in the field. Now let's talk briefly about the learners engagement model. So in my classes, I expect my students to be involved in their own learning. And when they learn something, they need to apply it right away on the project in the classes. And they are required to share it with their classmates. So very important component is the peer learning, which we can focus more in India. So simple but elegant model of involve, learn, apply, and share will allow your learners and the students to be fully engaged so they can absorb the information you are sharing. And think of it, the faculty is like a powerful transmitter. When you are well tuned and when you are at the top of your line, top of your knowledge, cutting edge, then you need the receiver with the proper antenna to receive the knowledge you are transmitting. So both ends are critical. And this is one way to get them involved in their own learning through actually implementing what they have learned in the classes. Now, let's take a look at the World Economic Forum Future of Job reports. What are the top 10 critical skills needed to be successful? 2 columns. left 2022, right 2020. So if you look at four color-coded items which are ported from 2020 to the left side in 2022 column, and when you reflect on those items in the left-hand side, 10 of them, most of these items are rarely covered in our curriculum in the colleges and the university. So this is what the workplaces are looking for. Unfortunately, we are not preparing our students well to have these fundamental and critical skills needed to be successful in the global marketplace. So please pay attention and take this message back at your institutes to see if you could include these courses so that students are becoming proficient in those areas. Now, let me tell you why soft skills are important. See, when you look at the latest surveys, more than 90% of the executives are asking for the new hires to have a better soft skill compared to the hard or technical skills. And the last bullet says, for the ability to work in a team for a new hire is more desirable than the analytical or quantitative skills. And this is the difficulty we have at the India scene. Students do not learn or focus on the soft skills. They are very good at technical or hard skills. And as a result, they have a hard time getting a good placement. And if they do get the placement, hard time to progress. So focus on soft skills, which are critical to grow and successful throughout the life. Now, to carry this message forward, I've been teaching in India since year 2006 in business school. As a matter of fact, I started out at the Great Lake Institute of Management near Mahabalipuram outside of Chennai, teaching total quality management course. And I come across brilliant students in India. However, they neglect the soft skills. So at my alma mater, IIT BHU in Varanasi, with the help from the head of the training and placement office, Professor Anil Kumar Agrawal, we designed a series called Leadership Excellence Series. 6 topics in blue are the soft skills, 6 in red are the quality management, and each session, hour and 15 minutes per month, we covered it, used the Google Hangout, which was free at that time, and recorded the session and made them public on the YouTube. And the entire project is written up at the American Society for Quality India office. Link is shown. And we expanded it to close to about 100 colleges and universities throughout India. And up to 2016, so first 3 years, we reached out to 675,000 students. And now we have touched 1 million students and professionals and faculties. I want to show the power of technology. Swami Nikhleswaranandji is shown in the top right picture in the middle, who was with the Ramakrishna Mission in Vadodara. He took me to Bizek studio in Gandhinagar, capital of Gujarat, where Mr. A.J. Shah, then Commissioner of Higher Education, he is now retired. The commissioner gave me 45 minutes to talk on effective time management, and via satellite, we connected to 450 colleges and 5 lakh students, 500,000 students benefited on this very important topic of effective time management. So technology can be used to reach out to the masses in India. Now, I'll begin to segue into the very first component, the importance of planning. Now, Dr. Deming, along with Dr. Juran, they were the 2 scientists sent by the US government to Japan to rebuild their industrial economy. And Dr. Deming has given a beautiful cycle, 4 components: plan, do, study, and act. So for your personal and professional growth, you need to do fundamental planning, and you need a 10% excellent plan. But when the plan is done, You have to start executing, and that's where 90% of the focus or the effort should be spent. And remember, planning without execution is futile, but execution without planning could be fatal. You need both planning and execution. Now, quick comment at India scene, we need to do better for the planning. Important soft skills, the critical life skills. The very first one is the communication. Second half of the slide is very important to understand. It says no matter what job you have in life, your success is determined 5% by your academic credential, 15% by your professional experiences, but 80% by your communication skills. In other words, we need to focus on the top 80% outcome, and along with the communication, fill in the blank, leadership, decision making, time management, teamwork, problem solving, project management, etc. All three components of communication must be outstanding: verbal, written, and presentation. And each one of them should be appropriate, clear, concise, and each one of them we can improve by doing ongoing practice. Now I'm going to move to the next item, the leadership. So without leadership, nothing happens. And if you have a good leader at the organization, at the institute level, that institute will flourish because the visionary leader will take it to the next level. And here I'm sharing with you the difference between the boss versus the leader. Boss is shown on the left side, standing in front of the rest of the members. And what do the bosses do? They drive their employees most of the time crazy. They use their authority, inspire fear, always talking about I, blame when something is broken and something breaks down, they blame others. They know how it is done, but will not show it to others. They use people, take credit away. They use the commands and then tell, go and do it. Move to the right side. The good leader will be the one like a pink fish floating with the blue fishes as a part of the group. They coach their employee. They depend on the goodwill. They generate enthusiasm. Always talk about we. They fix the breakdown, show how it is done. They continue to develop their people, give the credit when it's due. They ask the people, what do you think about the issue? And they will say, let's go and get it done together. So I trust all of you, distinguished faculty who are attending this, try to become a leader, not a boss. And this is where you continue to grow both personally and professionally. I'm going to share with you two models. The first one is from Dr. Stephen Covey. So he wrote a book, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. Wonderful book you should definitely pick up and read. You start out as an individual, is saying you master 3 habits, 1, 2, and 3. Be proactive, begin with the end in mind, and 3, put the first thing first. When you master those 3 habits, you achieve private victory and you move from dependence to independence. Once you come to the workplace, you need to master another 3 habits. Think win-win, seek first to understand, then to be understood, and synergize. When you master those additional 3 habits, you achieve the public victory. And now you're moved from independence to interdependence. And in the 7th habit, you continue to sharpen the saw. That means you keep repeating good things you have done. Extremely useful, powerful 7 habits of highly effective people. Here I'm sharing with you a tipping point leadership model from the public sector, where a gentleman named William Bratton, who worked in the Boston Mass Transit Police Department, New York Mass Transit, New York Police Department over 25 years window. And his work is written up by 2 faculty from INSEAD, Harvard of Europe, outside of Paris in Fontainebleau in France. So any organization, there will be four major hurdles, and the leaders needs to overcome those four hurdles. The first hurdle is cognitive hurdle. That means you need to put people in front of the problem, then they cannot deny there was an issue. Resource hurdle, you have limited resources, you will not get extra resources. So what you do is temporarily infuse the resources on a most important item, tackle it, get good results, and disperse that extra resource to next big item. Motivation hurdle, put a spotlight on people who are doing great work so others will get the peer pressure and they will step up and do great things. And last thing is, a lot of people in the organization, when you propose new ideas, they will say, no, this cannot be done. So there are many naysayers. If your idea is good, you should keep the higher up on your side, convince them the merit of your idea, and overcome the political hurdle by silencing the naysayers. So once you overcome these four hurdles, you can lead the organization for a sustainable growth. And this you can apply at your individual level as well. I wrote a brief blog post on the economic value creation by the leaders. And there are four quadrants. Y-axis is the economic value, X-axis is the empathy, top right quadrant is the servant leadership, where you can keep the focus on sacrifice and service. Very few people you can count at your fingertip, and that is Swami Vivekananda, Mahatma Gandhi, Mother Teresa, Nelson Mandela, etc. On the top left is the enlightened C-suite, focus on growth and profit to deliver the value leadership. Unfortunately, when people move up, most of them have not much empathy for their people. So they have a short mandate here in the Western world. Within 2 to 3 years, they have to turn around the organization. If they can't do it, they are fired. Of course, they bail out with the golden parachute for the contract. Bottom left, where all of us come in, knowledge leadership, that's the educators. And our focus is caring and sharing of the students who join our institutes. So students are like rough diamonds. They have all the capabilities in them, but they don't know about it. So it's the role of the faculty to keep polishing them. So when they graduate, they're ready to shine. And bottom left, that's the front and middle level. Position leadership, generally they misuse the power and play politics. And research shows that the people leave the organization when their immediate supervisor or managers are not taking care of them. So various levels of leadership, and each one of them have a role to play. Now I want to share with you a very simple model which I have deployed for last 28 years in my classes, learning effectiveness model, which we can apply at individual level, at the class level, at the collective level. Acronym I've used is CEO, collaborative, experiential, and outcome-based. Since I come from the industry, before I joined academia, I knew that the success in the industry workplaces is mainly due to teamwork. So I wanted to simulate that same environment in the classes. So my classes are focused on teams, collaborative learning, and cooperation is required among the members of the class. Experiential, they study 8 to 10 state-of-the-art cases or articles from the top journals like Harvard Business Review, MIT Sloan Management Review, McKinsey Quarterly, etc. And they are required to do live project in team. In outcome based, where I have a simple one-page reflection journal, which at the end of the program, end of the course, they fill it out with the focus on implementation. Now, here is a very important slide for developing the leadership excellence. So one has to have a personal commitment, involvement, and accountability. In other words, a willingness to become a leader. Once you are determined that you want to become a leader, to become a good or excellent leader, you need to get the feedback to understand your own behavior. And that feedback can come from people working with you, and they can tell you what comes in the way by your behavior. So you take that feedback and do the analysis, develop areas of strengths and area for improvement, put together short-term and long-term plans, and take additional education training similar to the ATP you are attending, keep building new skills and apply it at the workplaces, nurture yourself by making personal and behavioral change, and continue to evaluate your progress using the metrics for the short-term and long-term action plan. And when you see the good results, celebrate your success. This is what it takes. It's a roadmap for leadership excellence. Now, I want to bring in one key point that as a leader, each one of us should focus on social responsibility, giving back to the society. As mentioned in the introduction, I was one of the 30 members in the class of 1968 when Tata Scholarship was given out to deserving students going for higher education abroad. And by the way, Jain Tata Trust has been giving out this educational scholarship since 1892. And the focus of the scholarship is to select the students who have done well in their studies, undergraduate, and then go abroad, get the knowledge, better education, come back to India and help in the nation building. I did not return back, but when I came to know in 1988 that India has 15 million blind, 1 out of 3 in the world, we started a foundation, Blind Foundation for India. The website is shown, blindfoundation.org. And since last 31 plus year, we have raised $5 million to do 230,000 free cataracts, 135 mobile vans, 10,000 braille kits, and overall 2 million people, million students, million adults got their free eyesight checkup. So that's the free Chakshudan for 31 plus years, and Leadership Excellence Series in the last 8 years. We have provided soft skills and quality management topics throughout India, and we talked about it briefly in the previous slides. So this is what we can do to help others, and this is how the world works, giving back to the society. So take one cause near and dear to your heart, whether it's education, healthcare, agriculture, irrigation, sanitation, whichever one area excites you, extend yourself to help people in the community surrounding your institutes. We are going to watch a short YouTube learning the lessons, 7 leadership principles we can learn from the life of an eagle. So let's enjoy that. great things we can learn from Life of the Eagle. So to conclude the leadership part, leadership is all about influencing, igniting, and inspiring ordinary people to do extraordinary things. So it's all about taking your students, influence them, ignite them, and inspire them so they can do extraordinary things in life. And that is your real contribution as a faculty in your institute. So I'm going to keep clearing each of these items. We have started with the importance of planning, communication, leadership. Now we segue into the decision making. And here are the many opportunity to make decisions at the professional level. So let me populate them, and then I'll talk briefly about few items which are highlighted and bolded. So when you want to hire people, bringing new people into the institute, you have to make number of decisions, number of candidates applying, who are you going to select? So this is where the number of people who take the interview of the people who are called in, you make a decision based on what is their contributions in the past, what is their potential to do well at your institute. Then initial training and ongoing training for them to get well and well placed in the institute. Performance feedback every year at a minimum. The department head or the higher up will sit down and try to work with the individual faculty to look at how they are performing in their position and provide them constructive feedback. Promotions, when opening comes up and your number of candidates, the which one will get the nod to go to be promoted at the next level, that requires decision. You have some capital projects coming up, some new activities you want to initiate at your institute, and a number of teams are competing for the limited funds. So that's where again you have to make a decision based on what are the cost benefit and impact of those projects coming up for review, and you pick the one which will bring the best results with the resources you are going to spend. And managing your suppliers, essentially you are going to look at each one of them, look at their credibility, their flexibility, their pricing, etc. And based on number of parameters, you make a decision which supplier you are going to use. So as you see, there are so many opportunity for professional decision making. If we move to the personal level, same issue. The job you have selected, which the institute you came to work for, why did you come to this specific place and not others? What about your spouses? How do you manage your finances? Where will you invest your funds? How do you do it? Do you get the professional help, etc.? Very important to take the vacations and develop some hobbies so you can make best use of your personal time. And time management. You outside the institute at your personal level, how do you spend your time so that you are effective and continue to grow? So again, many opportunity to make decisions at the personal level. Now I'm sharing with you a simple tool coming from Japan, part of the quality management tool called tree diagram. In a single diagram, putting all the information together, you can move from your higher level decision to the final outcome. Of course, the example is not the best under the COVID-19 pandemic, but when things improve, hopefully next April onward, you want to go on a vacation, that's your decision one. It will open up decision level 2, 3 more options. And for each of the option at decision 2, there are further options at decision level 3. Each one of them, when you trace it from left to right, will lead to specific outcome. And this is what, by putting all the information in a single piece of diagram, you can move from the highest level decision to the final outcome by picking a path you want to travel. Here we have a short YouTube on group decision making. So let's understand what happens when the group is making a decision.
Making decisions can be hard enough, but making them with a group can be particularly tricky. Let's look at an example of group decision making and how using decision skills can help. This is Mike, Chris, Matt, and Arlo. They like hanging out together because they're pretty good friends. This Friday night, they're going out to eat before they go to a friend's party. "Where do you want to go?" says Mike. "I don't care," says Chris. "Me neither," says Matt. "As long as it's good," says Arlo. Sounds like it should be pretty easy, right? But here's the thing. Mike, Chris, Matt, and Arlo all have different ideas about how this is going to work out. And they have different thoughts about what they would like and what is important to them. And they might just be assuming that those same things are important to all of them. But no worries. The guys have been friends for a long time and know that they need to work some stuff out. Without even really thinking about it, they begin communicating and clarifying. "I was thinking pizza," says Mike. "I had pizza for lunch. How about Thai? Or the diner for a change?" "I'm a little strapped for cash this week, so can we make it on the cheaper side?" says Matt. "And how are we going to get there?" says Arlo. That's a good start, but now they dig a little deeper. "I've got my mother's car this evening, so I can drive," says Matt. "And the party doesn't start until later, so we've got plenty of time," says Mike. "Last time I went to the Thai place, it was good, but it's not very cheap." "We could try that taco place that just opened up on Maple Ave. Has anyone been there? Is it any good?" "I haven't heard anything about it, other than it's finally open." Tacos are cheap, but if they're bad, they're really bad. "Is pizza out?" "I could go for a slice." "I couldn't do pizza, but I guess I could order a cheesesteak instead. I'm just feeling a little cheesed out, you know?" "Alright, pizza's off the list. And so's Thai. It'd be good, but it's too much to spend for this week." "Fine. So, diner or new tacos?" "Tacos would be closer. It's only a couple of blocks, while the diner is all the way out on the highway." "Yeah, but we know the diner is good, and the cherry pie is pretty much worth the trip." "Yeah, but we could try something new." If only we knew if the taco place was good or not. Right around here is when people fall into one of the biggest group decision traps: decision fatigue. This is when you get sick of discussing an issue and just want to throw in the towel and do whatever seems easiest. "Alright, I don't care anymore. Let's just get pizza like we always do." Then Chris says, "I don't really want pizza. Come on. We just have to decide between the diner and the taco place. What do you think?" Arlo replies, "Alright. Even though it might be a nice change, we don't know how good the taco place will be. I say we hold off on trying it until we hear something about it. And tonight, let's go to the diner. We've got a car so we can drive, which we might not have next week. There are all kinds of things on the menu so people can be adventurous if they don't want burgers and fries. Plus, it's cheap and it's good." Excellent. Good job, guys. You communicated and clarified the elements of your decision basis and thought your way to a good decision. And you stuck with it and didn't fall for decision fatigue. Way to go. Have a piece of cherry pie for me.
So that was all about group decision making. And remember, do not fall for the group fatigue, decision fatigue. Okay, I'm going to continue in the decision making, which is very critical to do good project management along with the leadership. So decision making is a skill that can be learned and it improves with practice. There are 6 basic decision making models: scientific, knowledge base, using the detective approach; ethical, doing the right thing, moral approach; economical, net gain, cost benefit approach; political, the decisions you make will be acceptable by everybody, subjective approach; experience, past knowledge, the familiarity approach. May I request all of you to remain kindly on a mute? Thank you. Kindly do not open the microphone. Appreciate it. And experience is a past knowledge, familiarity approach, and habitual default-based passive approach. So first 5 models are proactive. The last model is reactive. So do not go for the reactive model all the time. And keep in mind, when you are making complex decisions, you could be using multiple models as appropriate. There are 9 steps to decision making. So life can be complicated when you have too many choices and you have to make the decision. But the decision could be as easy or as complicated as we choose to be. And we need to take control and decide to be decisive. To develop the ability to be decisive is simply a mindset, a mental attitude that comes with practice and the persistence. And there are 9 steps to be decisive. So let's look at them. To believe in yourself that you are a decisive person, visualize the end result of your decision. There are no bad decisions. That means action beats inactions. Be proactive. Next, be brave. Don't be afraid to make mistakes. But when the mistakes are made, learn from it. Have faith. Listen to your instinct. Take a step back by expanding the possibility. Think out of the box. Set the time limit. A lot of time we work towards the decision when there's a deadline looming. Persistent practice. So from project management side, it says make fast decisions often. So fail faster to succeed sooner at the end. And think out loud. When you are working on a major decision, have a discussion with your colleagues, learn from each other's perspective, and then finally make a decision of what you are going to act on. Now, why leaders make bad decisions? So decisions routinely stall inside the organization, hurting the entire company's or organization's performance. The ownership is the issue, ambiguity about who is accountable for which decisions. And in order to clarify the accountability, we can use the RAPID model, where R stands for who will recommend course of actions for a key decision. A is who must agree to the recommendation before it will go forward. P, who will perform the actions to implement the decision. I, whose input is needed to determine the proposal's feasibility. And D is the person who decides to bring the decision to a closure and commit the organization to implement it. So in decision making, there are 2 parts. One is the planning, but the second part is the implementation or the execution, and both are critical and needed. And when you clarify the decision rules, you make right choices swiftly and effectively. So the summary for the decision making, use the acronym AMAIN. Ability will determine what you are capable of doing. Motivation determines how you do it, but it's the attitude that will determine how well you do it. Engage 3 H's, your heart, emotions, the head, ideas and logic, and implementation. So when all of them are engaged, you are able to make a better decision. Leadership, as we saw the definition, it is a catalyst for change. It's all about influencing, igniting, and inspiring ordinary people to do extraordinary things. And leadership ability is to translate vision into action and action into next level of vision for decisive decision making. And
नाही बरोबर आहे आता नाही होत.
please go on mute, Dr. Madhuri. Decisiveness comes with the decision that you are decisive, so begin deciding today. Once again, may I request all the distinguished faculty who have joined to kindly follow the direction. Do not open the microphone. It's very disturbing when one person only speaks. Please do not open the microphone. Thank you. So we have covered the second item, decision making. Now we are moving on to the third item, effective time management. So I had taken a course on how to get things done, which is all about time management. And it requires goal setting, prioritizing, planning, decision making, scheduling, learning to say no, organize yourself, avoid the interruptions. manage the meetings, avoid procrastination, learn how to delegate, and work in collaboration at the work setting. And sum total of these building blocks leads to the effective time management. So there are internal time wasters, and I'll highlight the one shown in the bolded. If I'm not disciplined, then I'll be wasting away my time. There is a common tendency for all of us to procrastinate. I won't do it today, we'll do it tomorrow, maybe next day, and that next day never comes. And poor delegation skills. When you have people reporting to you, if you keep doing the work all the time yourself, you are not using your time wisely. You should be delegating it to others so they continue to grow and you are freed up to do important things which only you can do. Now there are external time wasters, and this one, first one, I'm sure all of us have experience. You are working on an important project. All of a sudden, the emails, the chat, the SMS messages keeps coming. If you keep attending to all of it, your time which needs to be spent on the project is diverted to something on things which are not important. Too many meetings, so we are going to talk about it briefly in a few slides coming in. This is one of the biggest time waster in the workplaces. Unclear goals. When your management higher up gives you something to work on and the goals are not clearly set, you are just sitting there wondering what is the goal and what I should do. And of course, each and every organization have their own bureaucratic red tape, which will waste your time. So you need to be aware about the internal and external time wasters. Do not fall into these traps and manage your time wisely. Now, with respect to time and managing the time, you have to set the goal using the SMART. SMART stands for specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and time-based. Set and achieve time management goals. In terms of the planning, you need to visualize the end result, your goal, break the whole into subtasks, that is the project management discipline. Check your progress against your time estimate for this task and the subtask, and continue to refine the schedule as you move forward. And always anticipate for possible problems. And remember, Uncle Murphy is always alive and well. When you don't expect trouble, trouble will knock at your door. And in terms of the time management planning, you need 10% excellent plan, but then you need to roll up the sleeve and have 90% flawless execution. It says if you fail to plan, you are planning to fail. And plan your work and work your plan. That's a simple guidance. Moving to prioritizing your time, think of it as 4 different buckets. Things coming to you throughout the day, things you have to do, put it in the do bucket. Some things which you can do, but others can do it for you, and somebody who is working and supporting you, start delegating it properly. Third, delay. Items you have to do, but you are busy on a very important project. So you write it down on yellow sticky paper that you will get to it in about a week to 10 days and make sure you get it done. And a lot of things coming your way should go in the 4th bucket, that is dump. Just discard it. And once we use this prioritization, our day will be a little bit more simplified, and you will focus on the important things you need to do to complete it for the day and achieve the objectives. Now, in terms of scheduling, negotiate and manage the realistic deadlines for the work you are doing for the day. And keep in mind, you are in charge, not the schedule. So be realistic about what you can accomplish in a day. Don't put too many things on your to-do list, and use your dead time effectively. Generally, after meal, your body is not working 100%. So at that time, schedule meetings, take phone calls, and get the mundane stuff done. So here we talk about one of the biggest time wasters in the world, the meetings. So always question the need and frequency of the meetings. If only when some critical decisions needs to be made, you can gather all the people, the right people, and have a meeting. Otherwise, if it is just for information sharing, send it by email or put it on intranet, and make sure there is an agenda for the meeting coming to people in advance, and have a facilitator in the meeting so that that person can keep everybody on track, and keep the short meeting focused on an issue, say for example 30 minutes for a given issue, rather than keep working on many issues and keep prolonging the meeting, then the outcome is not good. And keep record of the agenda, decisions, and designated follow-up, that's action item, in the meeting minutes. And use the PALS system at the front end, purpose, agenda, and limit. And during the meeting, before the meeting, a lot of good planning, but excellent participation by everybody and follow up working on the action item. There's an excellent book I recommend. Death by Meeting is the title, by Patrick Lencioni. And his book talks about two things: that in general, world over, the meetings are ineffective. And secondly, they are also boring. Now, here is some data from the Harvard Business Review. It says the meetings are the Scrooge of modern business life, consuming 62 hours per month of employees' time on an average, full half of which is estimated to be wasted. In other words, nearly 40% of the working time, 2 days out of the 5, you are in the meeting, and half of it, 1 day per week, is total waste. Nothing comes out of it. As opposed to this, think of Google as a company which allows every employee to have 1 day of free thinking. So 1 out of the 5 days, they don't require to be working on the projects, but they can think of any new application, new ideas which can help benefit the company to launch new product or new services. And this is what we need to understand, that do not use meeting in a simple way, or do not take it lightly. Only required meetings should be attended. Rest of them, you should just stay out of the meetings. And I use the simple rule of thumb. That is, when somebody asks me to join the meeting, I ask the question, what is my role? What value am I going to add? And what is the purpose of the meeting? If the answers are not satisfactory, I tell them I'm busy. I have another thing going on at the same time, so please excuse me. Delegating, this is about organizing. I don't know how many of you keep the to-do list, but that list should be on a priority basis. Most important items should be on the top of your list on a daily basis. And deal with the paperwork or email once and treat it as a schedule event. Use your technology wisely to manage your schedule and the calendar. So time management, summary, set the time management goal, prioritize your task on a daily basis, organize for success, learn when to say no. That means when you are busy with some important work, put a sign that I'm tied up for next 3 days. Once the project is over, I'll get back to you. Use your waiting time well. Concentrate on one task at hand. Use your personal time, personal prime time, wherever you are most effective. Very closely guard that time and celebrate the success of the time. Now we have completed the effective time management. We segue into the teamwork. And then we'll talk about project management, and then we'll wrap up and have good discussion through question and answers and comments and key takeaway. So what is team? Team is a group of people pooling their skills, talents, and knowledge with mutual support and resources to provide effective solutions for problems for which the team was chartered. And those problems could be related to your customers, your employees, your operations, your finance, your organization, etc. So why should we work in teams? We can share our perspectives, learn from each other, discover more about ourselves and the others, and learn something new, support each other, experiment, and have fun. So teamwork, as we know, each letter of the word team put together is together, everyone achieves more. So there are stages: forming, storming, norming, performing, and disbanding. Look at the graphics. A dog and a cat going for a six-pack of beer. So the learning is when there is a common objective, even enemies will unite. So at your institute, there are no enemies. They are all professional colleagues and friends. So you want to have a common goal with the help of uh, your management, your leadership, which sets the clear goals and expectation of the team members, and there the leadership is required to create the culture of cooperation and resolve the conflict as soon as it appears, because when two or more people work together, it's inevitable the conflict will arise, the friction will come. So that needs to be managed by the team leader, project leader very quickly. Now I want to introduce the concepts of strengths finder, uh, concept of the strength. Now this is the work done by the Gallup organization, which is a marketing agency, and they are very active during the political season. They do a lot of polling, who will win, who will not win, etc. They make the projection. So they have studied successful people from around the world and wrote the book called Strengths Finder 2.0, published in 2007. And they've identified 34 major strengths. Now they define the strength as the ability to consistently provide near perfect performance. And this is what we all need to strive for. Understand what our strengths are, and then leverage those strengths in each and everything we do. Because when we are playing in our strength zone, our outcome will be outstanding and we will not require much supervision. So they define strength as a multiplier of talent times the investment. Graphically, you look at the strength in the middle, three bubbles at the top: thinking, feeling, and behaving. That's the talent, something inherent in you, and the investment in building skills, knowledge, and the experience. I'll give you a couple of examples. A coach spotted a ping pong player who was very good with the forehand stroke. So he decided to give him so much extra practice only with the forehand stroke without worrying about the backhand stroke. He won the world championship because he was working with his strength. Secondly, if you have children, they study 5 courses in a semester, 3 A's, 1 B, and 1 C. When they come back with the report card, as a parents, when you sit down with them, normal focus is on C. This theory of strength is exactly opposite. You focus on 3 A's to make sure A's will remain A. C probably will hardly ever become A, but open up some resources so C becomes B. So do not beat up your child on the negative, but focus on the positive and make sure you overcome the negatives. Now, here I'm sharing with you my top 5 strengths. First, I'm an arranger, more like a conductor of a symphony, where I see a lot of moving pieces and able to arrange them well so that beautiful music will come out. Secondly, I'm an achiever. I have an inner drive that keeps me moving. Third, I'm a learner, move from the journey, take the journey from ignorance to competence. Fourth, I'm a maximizer, look for excellence from myself first, and then from people around me, including my family members. And fifth, I'm a relator, ability to build relationship once I come in contact with people. So the guidance is throughout our life, whether we are in the colleges or university as a student, or as a faculty, or working in the any domain, we can leverage our strengths once we know what the strengths are and apply it to build up our career. Now, how do you know your strengths? So you need to buy a book called Strengths Finder 2.0. It's available online in India as well. You have to buy a new book. At the back of the book, there is a sealed envelope with a code on it. Once you open the envelope, use that code to take online test. In about 30 minutes, when you hit for results after answering question, it will give you your top 5 strengths. How do you use it? In your CV or resume, just below objective, write down my top 5 strengths, and that will become a topic of conversation when you are going for promotion or a lateral move. You can explain when the interviewer is asking how well you have used your strength to do better work in the previous situation or previous project. You can explain to them objectively. Excellent concept. I would highly recommend investing in this Strengths Finder 2.0. And by the way, disclaimer, I do not own any stock in Gallup, so I won't be rich if you buy the book, or I won't become poor if you don't buy the book. Now, here are the ingredients of a successful team. So the team should have a clear goals. There should be a balanced participation by everyone. It should be working on improvement plan, establish the ground rules so that everybody knows how the decisions will be made, clearly define roles for each member of the team, awareness of the group process, managing the group dynamics. Essentially, there should be clear communication, use the scientific approach to do problem solving to achieve the objective of the team. There should be beneficial team behaviors each member should exhibit, and well-defined decision procedures. Now, let me share with you very interesting, the power of good teamwork. It's an animation which teaches us.
Okay, come on, everyone, we're behind schedule. You know what's gotta be done. Move it, move it, move it. Hey, you there, pick up the pace. You're falling behind. Stop it, stop it, Come on, let's go. Everyone, pull together. We've got a threat to our hands. You there. Here we go. Ganito na. Wimpo! Okay, Pivotara. Tomato?
Uh-oh.
So through this animation, we can see what is the importance and the power of teamwork. Okay, for teams, again, we can use smart goal setting for the team, specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and time-based. Essentially, you are throwing a dart in the yellow area, hit the bullseye, set and achieve your team goals. Prioritization, same way, the work the team needs to do, delegation among the members or somebody, additional person who can help you, delay the action individually, and dump a lot of things being asked by the team. With limited time, you need to deliver the results. You should throw it away, put it in the dump basket. So here is a guidance on the problem solving methodology as a part of the teamwork. And by the way, in the 20th century, we needed 3 skills to be successful. Those were reading, writing, and arithmetic. In the 21st century, those 3 things are given. You must have it. But you need to pick up 3 additional skills, and those are teamwork, problem solving, and project management. Teamwork, problem solving, and project management. So we are in the teamwork module. As a part of it, here is the problem solving method, 6 steps. So properly define the problem. I'm sure there are many engineers in the FDP here who are attending. Myself is an engineer. A lot of time we find a solution first, and then we are hunting what problem have we solved. That's a wrong approach. Take time to properly define what is the actual problem. That puts you on the right journey, and find out the magnitude of the problem using the data. Determine the root causes, what is the problem coming, where is the problem coming from, what is causing it. Find possible solution which can either eliminate the root causes or reduce them. And when you have found that solution, make it permanent, and then move on to tackle the next important problem. Now, this 6-step methodology, we all must master, because throughout our life, no matter what domain we are in, we will be required to be doing a lot of problem solving by our organization. The third critical skills in the 21st century, besides teamwork and problem solving, is the project management. And here is the teamwork issue. So 5 dysfunctions of a team, another great work by Patrick Lencioni. There are 5 dysfunctions, so let me put it in and then I'll talk briefly about them. The first dysfunction of a team is the absence of trust, fear of conflict, lack of commitment, avoidance of accountability, and inattention to results. So when the team is formed, team leader is required to check out among the team members. Say, for example, there are 7 members on a team leader plus 6 other members. There should be a discussion in the group, and team leader should make a determination on all of these 5 dysfunction area. Now, how do you develop the trust? The team is most powerful and highly functional when the members are trusting each other. And this is where you need to be vulnerable to each other to show your strengths and weaknesses. And this is where you can use StrengthsFinder 2.0 I discussed earlier. Secondly, fear of conflict. A lot of time when discussions are happening, only 1 or 2 members of the team is speaking, rest of them are quiet. On limited input, decision is made to go forward. Others who did not participate will not be supporting the final outcome. So instead of not providing input, everybody should contribute their ideas. And using the funnel approach, you put all the ideas together, and out of which you focus on one or two critical area to work on. And then with that decision, everybody should support 100%. Third, when the team leader is assigning tasks and subtasks to the team members, they need to be absolutely clear, no ambiguity, and people can commit to get it done. And when team members are given the task or subtask, hold them accountable for the results, because collection of the task and subtask by all team members will lead to final outcome by the team. And last, sometimes people with the different status, higher status and ego, they forget why they were on the team and they do not focus on the results. So they need to be part of the team irrespective of their status or the ego. That is to show the importance of that item. So if any of this dysfunction is present, the team leader must remove that. And when you have all of these is done well, no dysfunction present, now you are firing on all cylinders. So excellent video, teamwork, inspired by the Blue Angels on the formation of the plane. So a lot of good lessons and beautiful narration. So let's enjoy this one.
Boss, Mo, updated Windsor 240 at 10. We own the airfield and airspace. You are clear for takeoff. Have a good one. Thanks, Mo. Clear for takeoff. Hello, ready to go, boss. Boss, we're clear for takeoff. The wind 240 at 10 is our wind crosswind. Check your fucking breakout. Check your genset. Check your nose steering on. Maneuver 9 and navigating. Okay. Guys, coming after on 9. Let's roll. Oh, that's fun. Check your fucking breakout, check your genset, check your nose steering on, maneuver 9 and navigating. Okay. Coming up, Colonel 9. Let's roll. Let's roll.
Beautiful lessons from the Blue Angels and how they do the show all the time without any failure. So to sum up the teamwork, the difference between success and failure is a great team. So when you are working at your institute and forming the teams, make sure that the members of the team are working together in a collaborative and cooperative way to achieve the objectives and bring the solution for which the team was put together in the first place. Now, I'm going to segue into the last component, project management, and then we will have time for question and answer, some discussion, and key takeaways. Now, kindly remember that each one of us, as an engineer, as a business people, we do projects throughout our life. In order to do projects well, we must understand and master the concepts of leadership importance, excellence of leadership. Secondly, decision making, which comes in handy throughout the management of the project. Time management, teamwork, problem solving, and finally, if we are now focused on the doing the project properly, let's understand what is project management is all about. So we are defining the project is a temporary organized effort which creates unique product, service, or a plan. And by the way, when we succeed in the project, we are growing both personally and professionally. The project characteristics, single definable purpose with the performance, cost, and schedule meeting those requirements. It's a unique one-time activity, definite start, definite end, cuts across organization lines. It's a horizontal work, metrics, unfamiliarity, you are going into some uncharted waters. And since you are working on something uncertain, the risk is inherent part of projects. So please remember that. And something is at stake when you do a project. Now, fortunately, there are only 3 goals to achieve in a project. That's performance, cost, and schedule. And you need to hit it at the target for each one of them as initially planned and signed off with your project sponsor and the customer. Now, quick definition of project management. It is to integrate resources and tasks to achieve organization's goal. And here are some good advantages of project management. It will avoid the excessive workload done by the few people. It will avoid the cost overruns. It will build the right skills or the expertise for the project. There won't be any strained relationship among team members because things are well planned, working on the right things, and continue to make progress. Dr. Madhuri, you have been unmuting yourself all the time. Kindly go on a mute. Please have some discipline. All of you are distinguished faculty. If you cannot follow the guidance, how do you expect your students to follow the guidance? Kindly remain muted. All of you must cooperate. Thank you. And sorry to say that, but these are the kind of things we do not expect. There should be professionalism on all of us. And you're disturbing the rest of the 82 people. That's not a good thing. Sorry about that. If you are doing good project management, it will prevent the scope creep. Scope means what is inside the boundary of the project. Creep means once you start the project, you've finished the charter and you've decided on the scope, what will you work on, what will you not work on. At that point, you will be asked to do more outside of the scope of the project. So as a project leader, project manager, do not take on additional thing. Only thing is you can negotiate if more work is required, ask for more budget, more time, and change the performance requirement as needed based on what extra work you need to do. Otherwise, you are setting up for failure. It will avoid duplication of work, better use of limited resources. Now, I want to share with you some data on software project failure, and I'll tell you why I've chosen this example. So data comes from UK. three metrics: success, failure, and challenge. Success means your performance, cost, and schedule as originally planned is achieved, 100%, that's success. Failed means no matter what you do, projects needed to be cut off is failed. Challenge means either 1, 2, or 3 of the objective, performance, cost, or schedule needed to be restated, replanned. So 1994, first set of data, 1 out of 6 projects successful. 15 years forward, 2009, 1 out of 3, still not 100%. Now Karthikeyan has opened the microphone. Please remain muted. Sincerely request all of you, appreciate your kindness to remain muted, because the system is not built for more people opening the microphone. It creates disturbance. And I've chosen the software failure because software is ubiquitous in anything and everything we do nowadays. So look at your appliances, kitchen, and all the appliances at your home, dishwasher, washer, dryer, refrigerator, then your car, everything works on a computer chip managed by the software. Now, during that time, what is the cost of software project failure? World over, GDP in the similar time frame, 2009 data, almost 70 trillion US dollars GDP at the world level. Cost of IT failure annually is 6.2 trillion, almost 8.5%. So software is one of the many projects getting done around the world. Think of bridges, airplanes, steamer, all the vessels are being traveling around the world, and all of those activities, railroads, etc. When there is a failure, that's a huge cost. So remember that, as I mentioned, 70% of the projects fail on an average around the world. Here are some glaring examples. Ford Motor Company spent $400 million for a new purchasing system. Then they determined that it will not work, so they had to cut it off. In UK, interestingly, the Inland Revenue Service, the tax collecting authority, by mistake gave away $3.45 billion as a tax credit overpayment to the people. They had to collect it back because it was their error, but at a cost. Denver International Airport, they were putting automated baggage system. They spent $250 million. Then they found out it will never work, so they had to abandon the project. Big one was US Department of Defense, $6 billion kinetic energy interceptor program, terminated in 2009 when they understood it will never succeed. And at the India scene, we can think of this Commonwealth Games project scandal in 2010, where a gentleman by name Suresh Kamladi gave a black eye to India at the international games, doing the corruption and not managing the projects well. And think of this Ganga Action Plan project, the Clean Ganga. Since 1986, huge amount of money has been spent. All the middlemen have eaten up the money, but the river Ganges, Mother Ganga, is getting more and more polluted. And that's a shame at the India level, where we cannot take care of cleaning up the Mother Ganga, the river Ganges. And it's really the project failure, big time. Major causes of project failures are lack of planning or poor planning, communication breakdown, and by the way, communication is a lifeblood for any project. We'll talk about it shortly. Lack of user involvement during the project life cycle, and lack of risk management from beginning to the end of the project. And there are a few other things shown here. Now, what you see here is the graveyard of pipeline. simply substitute pipe with a project. So this is the landscape at most of the organization, including your own institute. There are many projects on the list. Some are started, critical resources put on the project, and then they are pulled off and put on the different projects. So things get started but never completed on time. And if they are the projects supported by external customers or internal customers, they are not very happy because the outcome is not there. So what you need to do is, instead of doing many projects, do a prioritization. And this is where PMO, Project Management Office, comes in handy. Any large organization here in the Western world, they have a PMO, Project Management Office, independent group, staff function reporting directly to the chief executive. So in your case, it should be reporting directly to the vice chancellor. And they collect all the projects which are coming up for the following year in, say, November or December. And then they prioritize all the projects based on impact to customer, impact to organization, and the feasibility, that is time and critical resource available to work on those projects. They provide that risk number, the highest to the lowest multiple of those three items I talked about on prioritization, and whichever one sits at the top, those are the only projects get funded, and rest of them wait until those highly important projects are done. So another approach you can use is aggregate project plan. There's a beautiful article in the Harvard Business Review. If you do the Google search, aggregate project plan by Willwright and Clark, you will get that article. So the story was, it was a new product development, small company working on 33 projects. None of them were getting completed. So they use this aggregate project plan where they use 5 different compartments. So derivative projects, minor increment, platform projects, some more fundamental changes, breakthrough projects, some R&D work, and a combination of any of those platforms. So then they, instead of 33 projects, they used only, they worked on 11 projects divided into these different compartments. And they were able to work on those projects, complete them, and customers were happy. They got more projects to work on. Beautiful concept you can apply to prioritize your projects. Now, as I mentioned, 70% of the projects fail. In order to achieve better success in completing the projects, we can use a beautiful article from MIT Sloan Management Review. And this is where the project leaders, project manager have to overcome the 5 crises of silence. First one is the team must plan around the facts. Secondly, project sponsor must provide support. Third, team must be faithful to project management process. Team must honestly assess the progress and the risk, and the team members in the project must pull their weight. Each and every one should be contributing to the level of task and subtask they are assigned. When you have all these 5 things done well and communication is happening, then your chances of success for the project go all the way up to 100%. Now we'll watch briefly the project management history, starting with the building of the pyramids almost 4,500 years ago in Egypt.
It's as if something were calling me, a voice from the past, like some sort of inherited memory. Voice from the past, like some sort of inherited memory. Maybe my ancestor was an Egyptian merchant with rust. Voice from the past, like inherited memory.
So in some, we can learn something from this beautiful article by Tom Peters, The Wow Project. So his article is freely available. If you go to fastcompany.com, you can download that 8-page article, and it tells you there are 4 components: find and create a project, sell your project, that is communicate the value of it, execute your project, and most important, the last component is once the project is over, you have to hand it off so people can run it on a daily basis. Here are a few quick tools. Work breakdown structure. So the metaphor is, how do you eat an elephant? One chunk at a time. Of course, I'm vegetarian and many of you may be vegetarian, so you don't eat the elephant, but that's the concept in project management. So when you are assigned a project, you are at level 1. You need to create the work breakdown structure to build it to level 2 decomposition, to level 3, level 4, task, subtask, and sub-subtask. The level 4 subtasks, sub-subtasks are assigned to an individual who can work on it, and they may get multiple subtasks or sub-subtasks to work on. Gantt chart is a schedule chart where on the y-axis all the activity, x-axis is your time in weeks shown here. And some activity begin, then end, and output of that activity will feed into another activity will begin to take off, like activity 2 and 3, until you go from start to the end. There is a concept of critical path method. Here I'm sharing with you, as a part of the project, there are paths from 11, 6, 7, 5, 6, 7, 4, 6, 7, and 8, 6, 7. On the left-hand side, except 11 to 6, where it only takes 1 day, rest of the items will require 1 week to work on. So in other words, 11 to 6 is not on a critical path. It can be accomplished any day of the week and still you will be okay. And once you are arriving at the station 6 to go to 7, there is another week to be done, more work. So the critical paths are 3, 5, 6, 7, 4, 6, 7, 8, 6, 7. 11, 6, 7 is not on a critical path because there is a slack. So very important to, when you start a project, identify the critical paths, and there could be multiple critical paths as shown here. And then keep an eye on those critical paths, because if you miss any one of them, your project schedule will be missed and you have blown up the schedule. Budget control, very similar to how you manage budget at the home front. At the beginning of the month, you know how much money you are going to get in and how much money you need to spend. So you are within the budget. If you overspend, you have to dip into your savings. And if you continue to overspend, your savings will be depleted. The same thing, you establish the budget for the project. Say it was 6 months, X number of rupees, divide into 6 chunks, and every month you have certain amount to be spent against which work should be completed, and keep reviewing it and make sure you are not overrunning your budget. A lot of time what happens, by the 2/3 of the project done, all the money is spent. Last 1/3 of the project won't work because there is no money left. So make sure you are not overspending. Here is another good concept of managing your budget: value management, earned value management from US Department of Defense, showing 3 columns, planned work 25 units each for each quarter. Actual cost varies 22, 20, 25, and 25. And the last row, earned value, value of the completed work is uniform, 20 units. So the best quarter here is quarter number 2, where earned value divided by actual cost is 20 over 20. Second best is quarter 1, 20 over 22. And quarter 3 and 4 are the worst, where you are only getting 20 value of 20 units by spending 25 units on it. So this is how the government keeps track of subcontractor for their payment about completion of their work. Very important in project management to have a two-way communication. When sender sends the message, receivers needs to acknowledge it. And effectiveness of communication is extremely important, and that can be achieved by receiving feedback from the receiver. It should be relevant, timely, and useful. So in summary, project management will be successful. Talk about multiplier of 4 P's: planning, promotion, selling the value, personal touch, and persistence to bring the project home within budget, on time, and meeting all the performance requirements. Now I have a beautiful last YouTube motivational talk by Coach Lou Holtz from University of Notre Dame. So enjoy that, and we'll take the question and answer shortly.
I was born with a silver spoon in my mouth, I know. I was born in Fallsby, West Virginia. And I went by where I was born last night, about 10:30. I was born in a cellar. at home, delivered by Dr. McGraw. We had one bedroom for my sister, myself, and my parents. We had a half bath and a kitchen. 7.5 years we lived in that place. There was no welfare. There was no food stamps. There was no safety net. But I always had plenty to eat. Because every time I asked for seconds, my dad would say, no, you had plenty. But the reason I was born with a silver spoon, my dad had only gone to the 3rd grade. That's all the education he had. But why was I born with a silver spoon in my mouth? Because I was taught by my parents that life's a matter of making choices, wherever you are, good or bad, because of choices you make. Don't blame anybody else, but if you get an education, you're willing to work and overcome problems and difficulties, in this great country, you can amount to something. That's why I was born with a silver spoon. I was in this country and I was taught personal responsibility for choices you make. And when we talk about a commitment to excellence, that's a choice you make. What do you want to do? Having hopes and dreams and ambition. See, I think that is absolutely critical. Don't make the mistake I made. I've done a lot of dumb things, but let me tell you the one thing I regret. We went to the University of Notre Dame. We took a program on the bottom. We took it to the very top. And for 9 straight years, we went to a January 1 bowl, the sugar, the cotton, the orange, and the fiesta. Nobody's done it before. Nobody's done it since. We put it on top and we maintained it. That's the thing I regret the most. See, there's a rule in life that said you're either growing or you're dying. The tree's either growing or it's dying. So's grass, so's a marriage, so's a business, so's a person. Doesn't have a thing to do with age. My birthday candles cost more than a cake. But it has everything to do, am I trying to get better? Am I trying to improve? We got on top and say, you know, this is pretty good, let's maintain it. Let's not take any risk. We finished 2nd in the country at Notre Dame. Everybody called me an idiot. Guy finishes last in medical school, they call him doctor. That doesn't seem fair. When I left Notre Dame, I never thought I'd coach again. Where'd you go from Notre Dame? According to my mother, you go directly to heaven, you sit by the Pope. You don't coach anymore. And then I went to live in a town where the average age was deceased. And what I found out, I wasn't tired of coaching. You have to have something to hope for, something to dream. And even though you've done great things so far, what's going to happen now? I want to give you a simple plan. Life doesn't have to be complicated. I try to keep life simple. Do you realize there are only 7 colors of the rainbow? Only 7. Look what Michelangelo did with those 7 colors. There's only 7 musical notes. Look what Beethoven did with those 7 notes. There's only 10 numbers. Look what Bernie Madoff did with those 10 numbers. The point I make is it doesn't have to be complicated. See, you need 4 things in your life. If you don't have any of these 4 things in your life, you're going to have a tremendous void. See, everybody needs something to do. Number 2, everybody needs someone to love. Number 3, everybody needs someone to believe in. In my case, is Jesus Christ, our Lord and Savior. But the 4th thing you need in your life is you need something to hope for. There's never a right time to do the wrong thing. And there's never a wrong time to do the right thing. Just do what's right. I think it's right to be honest, right to be on time. See, ladies and gentlemen, enjoy life, have fun. You're going to have problems, you're going to have difficulties. That's part of life. And don't tell people about your problems. Do you know that 90% of the people don't care? And the other 10% are glad you got them. So you're better off keeping yourself. You're going to have problems. But have fun with what you're doing. People say, did you have fun doing the ESPN? Not really. Because if you have fun being there, people have fun being around. Doesn't mean I don't do dumb things. And sometimes I wasn't real honest. Do everything to the best of your ability with time allotted. You know, ladies and gentlemen, not all of us be All-America. Not everybody can be first team. Everybody can be the best you're capable of being. And I want to tell you, if you want to fail, you have the right to fail. That's what's great about this country. You do not have the right to cause other people to fail. because you don't do everything but your ability. When you join a spouse, you bring a child in the world, you join a business, you join a team. You have obligation, responsibilities, and you owe it to other people to do the maximum you can at each and everything you do. It's not complicated. And the last rule, to show people you care. And you walk in the room, your attitude, hey, here I am, look at me. I thought, no. Your attitude, there you are, how can I help you? I wish I knew those 3 rules when I was 21. I've used them for the last 40 years. There's a statue of me at Notre Dame. I guess they need a place for the pigeons to land, but if you go look at it, just don't look at 3 words on the pedestal. Trust, commitment, love.
Beautiful message from Coach Lou Holtz to grow professionally and personally. So as I mentioned up front, kindly write down 2 key takeaways, what you have heard from this session, and continue to use that so that you can grow personally and professionally. With that, I want to thank Professor Tharmalingam for inviting me to be part of this important FDP. And I'll stop sharing at this point, and we are ready to take the questions through the chat box.
Thank you very much, sir, for your presentation.
Thank you.
Participants, if you have any questions or anything you need to talk about, you can put it in the chat box or raise your hand so that we can unmute you.
I think best thing is put it in the chat box because the volume and the audio is not very supportive, so we'll have a disturbance. So chat box is best. And keep your questions short and focused to the point, so easily I can read and answer it to the best of my ability. Now, thank you for writing about wonderful session. I would appreciate if you take time either to write a question or a comment, or at least at a minimum 1 key takeaway what you have gotten out of the session. That will be most appropriate. And when you write that and put it on a chat, others will learn from it as well. So please help us. And we have time. And all of you are leaders in your own capacity. All of you want to grow personally and professionally. So best thing is when you learn something, take the key takeaway, 1 or 2 items which you will commit to doing it for betterment of your growth. That's what we are looking for here. And that's the best use of the time of spending with us for 2 hours in this session. Take away time management, not to stress out. Excellent, Smita. Continue. Great start. We have 91 people here. And I'll be sharing my presentation PDF, so Dr. Tharmalingam ji can share it with all the attendees and benefit from it at your convenience. You can work through it to reinforce. Would like to hear more takeaways. Understood how to work without stress. Okay, good and informative session. That is okay, but I'm still looking for 1 key takeaway. And this is one comment I want to make. What I observed teaching in India for a long time, that students are not used to asking questions. And I know why. The faculty is also not asking any questions, not sending any comments or key takeaway in general. So how do you expect students to ask the question? See, the learning comes when somebody has delivered a session. Either you have understood everything, then provide a key takeaway. If you have not understood some part of it, ask the question. And when you ask the question, others will benefit as well. And in my dictionary, there is never a dumb question. So question which was not asked is the dumbest question. So trust, commitment, and love. Yeah, that's a good takeaway. Understood how to be motivated all the time. Yes. Keep going. We have more people to write up in the chat box. How to manage people well. Yes. That's part of leadership. Try to be a good leader rather than a manager or a boss. Okay, balance, work-life balance, important. Spend time with your family and the loved ones. Teamwork, extremely critical for the success at the institute as well as in the work setting, wherever you are working. Good attitude with everyone. Yes, we saw in the Blue Angels video, you have positive attitude, you can make impossible to make it possible. And people with good attitude or positive attitude climb higher altitude. That's the way ticket to success, to keep moving up in the hierarchy. Positive attitude, can do. Okay, a few more. We have 6 more minutes to go. 7 more minutes. Okay, do work with enjoyment. Yes, make the work fun. When you love your work, work will become fun. It will not be a stress at all. Time should properly manage to achieve certain goals. Yes. Good thinking is important. Yes, and that's part of the planning. When you plan things well, you have a better chance of success for your personal growth, professional growth, making positive contribution at your institute, and keep learning. So best part is, and I want to share with you, I just completed 75 years last October. Still to date, I'm continue to learn. So I'm a lifelong student, setting goals for growth of the society. Yep, giving back to society is very important. So every day I get a push from the Harvard Business Review, MIT Sloan, McKinsey and company. So I keep reading state-of-the-art stuff happening in the field and keep integrating that in my presentations, which are coming along. And happy to share that this is the 35th session since January of 2021 with the ATAL-FDP. And I have one more session coming up towards the end of October. Okay, thank you, Saraswati. You enjoyed the videos. And when you get the presentation, you can make use of it with your students. Thank you, Smita. I keep hearing only from few people. Proper differentiation should be maintained from personal and professional life to achieve a healthy work environment. Yes, excellent. Would love to have seen each one of you at least writing down one key takeaway from the session. And the best way to learn is not just to listen and forget, but to do a lot of reflection and introspection. What have you learned? What have you heard, and what are you going to put in action. That's what it takes to be successful both personally and professionally. And that's a journey each one of us are capable of doing. Age is not the issue, it's our mindset. When we put our mind to work, make sure that we are learning new things, and you can learn from your peers, from all other sources, and then keep a focus on implementing it in whatever work you are doing. And that's where the success comes. So keep in mind, when you focus on excellence, the success will come after you. Don't go for success, focus on excellence in everything you do. In that case, success will no doubt will run after you. And that's the bottom line. Okay, we have 3 more minutes, a couple of more people, and then closing in from the coordinator of the FDP. Okay, I don't see any movement in the chat box, so let's close the chat box. And you can have the closing done from your side as a coordinator. If Dr. Dharmalingam ji is there, or whoever is assigned to do the closing, kindly finish that.
Yes, sir. Sure, sir. People will forget what you said. People will forget what you did. But people will never forget how you made them feel. In this way, I'd like to thank our today's resource person, Dr. Manu Vora, for giving a wonderful motivational session. Thank you very much, sir.
My pleasure, Rakeshji.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. And I'd like to thank all the participants for the day 5 session 1. And the feedback and attendance link is provided in the chat box. Go fill it out. So once again, thank you very much, sir.
Okay, my pleasure. And I wish all of you very well for the rest of the program on the day 5. Keep learning, keep applying, and get better at what you do, both personally and professionally. So there are many sources and resources you can tap into. And I'll be emailing my presentation to the coordinator, Dr. Dharmalingam ji, very shortly. And with that, I take your leave. Wish all of you all the best, and thank you very much. And have a great day and enjoy the rest of the program. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Okay, Rakeshji. Bye.
Bye, sir. Participants, the day 5 session 1 attendance and feedback link is provided in the chat box. Do fill it out within 30 minutes. And our next session will exactly be started at 12. Thank you.